Okay, this video is a little bit more serious than the other videos we usually post on this channel, but I genuinely have no idea what to do anymore, guys. And this is in regards to the Supra. If you're new here, we bought we rebuild channels on this, not channels. If you're new here, we rebuild cars on this channel. Cars that I think are pretty cool. I love doing it. It's my passion, and honestly, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing than be doing this. This is a really big part of me. Does that sign say Brazilian waxing? I'm just gonna cover it like this. I came to what I think is a relatively peaceful area just to talk about this. So we bought the Supra. The first video on the Supra actually aired on February 20th, I believe, but I actually got the car November 8th, and I've been keeping it away, you know, because back then we were working on a bunch of other stuff, so I wanted to get those builds out of the way before revealing the Supra. I just scooped the Supra because it was an A91 CF edition. Those hardly ever pop up on the auction. It's a super rare car. I think there's only 600 of them. So I scooped it up and I kept it off to the side until we were ready to work on it. So February 20th came, guys. So it's almost 2025 now, and next month it's October 17th today. So November is sneaking up on us. That it's almost one whole year that we've had this car, guys. The last video you guys have saw on the Supra, so basically the Supra is finished. We finished it, and the only thing that it was is we just didn't have keys. That's all it was, guys. If I just had a pristine set of keys, even if I just had a key for this car would have been done like 6 months ago, guys. I got the keys for this car. I had to take it to a dealership. I called so many places. I even did mobile locksmith. I did a bunch of stuff off camera as well, because literally I had low hopes for all these things considering the circumstances of this car. You could only do so much to get keys for this car, and for some reason, if you don't have any keys, original keys on a Supra, for this type of Supra, a Mark V, then for some reason you have to replace your body control module, and that comes with a pair of keys. Last time I talked about the Supra, guys, on this channel was when I was explaining to you guys how the car was ready and we picked it up from the dealership, but we got a crank no start. And then, you know, the dealership did a number of things to scam us, and they basically just milked us for money. Money that I don't have, but money that I put into the project thinking that it was all going to be okay. So I did it, and the car didn't work. And this dealership, you know, they were not understanding that, geez, my teeth are white. I like that. This dealership was not understanding the situation that I was in. I explained them everything of the car. Bad idea. Whenever going to a dealership, I don't know if it's a good idea to explain to them that you rebuilt the car, because you may have an issue with, like, for example, let's just say you might have an issue with your headlight, but you rebuilt something in the rear end. They're gonna immediately think that your headlight is not working because of the accident, when in reality maybe you just have a faulty headlight bulb or something. You know, a lot of dealerships do that, and I'm not a big fan of it. They did that to me on the Cadillac and on the Supra at this dealership. When I told them I rebuilt the car, they blamed everything on the accident. Like when I took the Cadillac to the Cadillac dealership, we had an issue on the Cadillac where the strut was sitting just a slight bit too high. You guys may have noticed it on the video. That's because that dealership sold me the wrong strut. They sold me the struts to a 3-liter Cadillac, 3-liter engine. That one was a 2-liter. They sold me the wrong strut, but they were blaming it on frame damage. I figured out pretty quickly myself that we got the wrong strut after comparing a couple part numbers. I got the right strut. Car sits great, drives great now, but they blame everything on the accident, and it doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know why I keep telling the dealerships that these cars are rebuilt. I don't know if that even matters, if they need to know, but this dealership was trying to milk us for money when I told them that, and they were blaming everything on the accident, making me believe that, hey, this is gonna fix your issue, or hey, the car's gonna be done this day, so get ready. So I would get ready. That's why you guys haven't seen a video on this channel. That's why you guys haven't seen a video on this channel in so long, because I've constantly been being told that the car's gonna be ready this day, be ready for it, and this day never came. It just kept getting pushed back. So after you guys saw that last video on the Supra where I explained everything that we got scammed on, saying that I would be taking the car back to the original dealership that messed everything up, I took it back to them. And within like 2 days of the car being there, they immediately went after trying to milk me for money again. Money that I don't have, mind you. So they said, you need a new chassis wiring harness. They wanted to replace the entire chassis harness on the car, guys. And basically, they wanted to strip the entire interior down, every single thing, the dash, the seats, all the carpeting, take everything out of the interior, take parts of the engine out, and tear apart the entire car, because the chassis harness, guys, it runs to everything in a car. It's like in this car, chassis harness will be up here, it'll be over here, it'll be down where my feet are, it's everywhere. Even where you guys are sitting. Chassis harness runs through every little computer plug-in in a car, and then the engine harness runs it around in the engine bay. But the chassis harness, literally front to back, everywhere. So they wanted $7,000 just for the part, with no ETA on when that part would come. And I told them no. I'm like, at this point, I see what they're doing. They got me on that radar sensor. They got me on a BCM. They got me on labor. They got me on pointless parts here and there on the car. They already got me on so many things on that car that I know I didn't need. And I just took their word for it, because I was like, you know what? This might actually get the car rolling. You know, they were making me believe. They know that I love the car, and they're trying to make me think that this is gonna do it. And they constantly keep pushing the done date back, and then they keep asking for parts and money and more stuff for labor, and it got way too much. So I told them, so you want $7,000 for a wiring harness that may fix the issue, that you also don't know how much it's gonna cost in labor, which is probably gonna be double what the harness is, because stripping a whole car down to a shell is not gonna be cheap to replace the harness. I told them no, guys. I pulled the car out of there. I just, you know, drew the line with that dealership. I'm like, there's no way. After that happened, guys, I took the car to a different dealership. It's a lot further, but I took it there. I take the car there, and I tell them everything that happened at this other dealership and what they were doing to me. And they inspected the car, told me everything. They said that dealership overreacted, you know, saying a bunch of bogus and baloney. This Supra does not need a new chassis wiring harness. We don't know. They're saying they don't know where they got that idea from. It doesn't need a harness. So they started working on the car, and as they're programming the car, they're having tons of connectivity issues, guys, like tons. They're using a wired connection on the car, but communication is not working on the car. For some reason, Toyota's very easy to program. Supras, however, very different. They need a specific software that Toyota just released, some new software they've been developing for like months. So Toyota released this new software, and they got the software and they downloaded the software onto their computers, but tons of connectivity issues. They're using a wired connection and it's just not working. The car will not communicate with them. So they decided to use a wireless connection. Wireless connection works, but really, really bad. So what the technician decided to do, which, holy guys, props to this guy. Mike is the technician working on our Supra. Mike, if you're watching this, man, mad respect to you, because Mike went in on a Sunday. Guys, dealership service centers are closed on Sundays. He went in on Sunday when no one is connected to the Wi-Fi. He was able to get into the Supra and he was able to program it, and he got everything going. And this was like, this thing that Mike did on Sunday, he's been trying to get the car programmed and communicate with him for weeks before he came in on a Sunday. So basically, let's just say for a month straight work on this car and nothing happened. No programming, no nothing, completely unsuccessful. And then on this random Sunday when no one is there, he comes in to program the car, immediately gets connection, he's able to program stuff. He gets the car started, guys. But here's the thing, to get this car started, I needed to buy another BCM with keys. That was not cheap. But if you guys remember from the previous videos, this BCM was so hard to get. So what happened? And why did I need a new one? So the BCM that I originally bought for the Supra, that I had the other dealership program, they fried it. So I had to get another BCM that wasn't under warranty. I had to pay for it out of my own pocket. Again, money I didn't have. Talking about this is super, I'm like reliving these moments in my head, and I'm trying to tell you as much of the story as I can, but oh my gosh, guys, there's so much stuff that's been happening. But got a new BCM. The previous dealership, the BCM is such a hard thing to get, as you guys remember, and the previous dealership, every time we ordered these BCMs through them, cancellation upon cancellation upon cancellation. They could not get it. This new dealership, they ordered the BCM on a Friday, It arrived on a Monday. So clearly that dealership obviously doesn't know how to work on the Supra, the other one. They clearly don't know how to work on the Supra. They're frying BCMs and they don't know how to order parts because they're not arriving. This new dealership I went to is able to program the car. They're not giving up. They're not trying to milk me for money, and they were able to get the new parts that we needed quickly. And this dealership from day one, this new dealership that the Supra is at, guys, they've been telling me from day one that this Supra is not worth fixing. There's 150 codes, guys, when I dropped the car off in the car, and they're all like codes for program. So there was a lot of codes in the car, and he was saying that it's just not worth fixing. He thinks I should cut my losses and sell the car. But this is what's happening in my head, guys. Whenever I hear somebody say something like that, I'm thinking, honestly, sounds like a great idea. However, we've been working on this car for so long, and I know you guys have been wanting to see the car for so long, and you guys have been wanting to see it fire up for so long. I don't know if I could just do that. If I can just, we've never done something like that where we haven't built a car. I've always finished every project, and I didn't want to start now. You know, like, it just doesn't feel good in my head to not fix the car because we're so close. Like, but for some reason, we're not close, but we're close. It's weird. So my door's been unlocked this whole time. That's scary. That's what he's been telling me. He's been telling me to cut my losses. But I've been telling him, you know, let's do this next thing and just see what happens. Because this dealership has been telling me that they don't want to charge me an absurd amount of money, and they don't want to scam me. They don't want to make me pay for something that they don't believe is fair. And I just got off the phone with them today, and it's getting to the point where it's not becoming fair in their eyes. And honestly, in my eyes too, which is why I'm making the video. I don't know what to do at this point. So, got the car programmed, car started. There was 150 codes. After the car's programmed, guys, there's 15 codes now in the car left. Quick little recap. Took it to the old dealership that used to be at. It was there for months. They couldn't fix the car, acted like that they could fix the car. And their true intentions were just to purely scam me. And then they wanted a new BCM. I got them the new BCM. They fried that BCM. I had to pay for that BCM and the labor that dealership wanted. And basically, I just paid them to mess the car up. Then they wanted $7 grand for a new harness that I know I didn't need. Pulled the car out to a different dealership. They told me I don't actually need that harness. They told me I do need a new BCM because the previous dealership fried it. And then I had to pay to loads of stuff to program, because not only did that previous dealership fry the BCM, but they like completely ruined the coding on every other computer in the car. The engine ECU, the BCM, like everything on that car has been completely out of sync from itself, because that previous dealership was just doing a bunch of bogus programming in the car. I don't know how they even have their licenses to program, or how they could. I don't want to get into that. That's just doesn't make any sense. This new dealership though, guys, took the car there after months of haggling, waiting for Toyota to release softwares, getting the softwares in their computers, and then getting those softwares from their computers into the Supra. After installing these new parts into the car, we're able to get it started. But I felt really good when I got the news that it started, guys. I felt over the moon. I was so excited. I was so happy, and I was like, finally things are looking good. At this point of the build, guys, we're in this car. Like, I don't like talking about prices, guys. It's just not in me. I don't like talking about prices on the internet. It just doesn't feel right. I know you guys love price breakdowns, but there's some people out there who get hurt when people talk about these things, I guess. And I just wanted to kind of avoid the hate. But in this case, it makes sense for me to talk about, I feel. So, this car is a clean title. It's a clean Carfax, no accidents, no nothing. Being completely honest, guys, my intentions on this car were to build the car and make a cool video series. And if I was able to, at the end of the series, I was going to keep the car. And that's my whole goal with this channel, is to be able to build cool cars and keep them. But it started getting to the point where I was like, I might have to sell it. Bought the car, final bid, $31,000. It's a lot of money for a Supra, but for this one, it seemed pretty good, because these cars are worth upwards from like 58 to 65,000, and this one's all completely clean, and it doesn't have any accidents or nothing. As you could see, it was just mechanical, it seemed. So got the car, and upon building it, doing all these things, guys, right now with the cost of the previous dealership in the car, $44,000, and that's why I kind of decided to just send it to the other dealership. I'm like, there's still room on the car. We might still be able to make things work. I'm purely doing this because I wanted to finish the car and I did not want to let you guys down. Even though this was so stressful for me to do, and so many sleepless nights, and be honest, I'll be honest, I maybe shed a tear or two. That doesn't make me a wimp, by the way. If there's any haters typing away in the comments, this is really painful, because without these cars, guys, like, I don't do anything else with my time, guys. There's nothing else I'm truly interested in doing. There's a few other things, but these cars are a big part of me, and I don't like seeing cars not get finished, because in a way these cars have helped me a lot. I don't want to get into all that right now, but they have. We put that, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. 44,000. At this point I was thinking, we're gonna sell the car, we'll get the money back. So then I took it to the other dealership to, you know, so they could get the car running and everything, and also fix the miles. Can't forget, the old dealership fried the miles. Miles went to 3, used to have 9,165. So took it to that dealership, and after all this work has been done onto the car, guys, we got the car running. Car drives, and they actually think that the car can drive like home. They don't recommend driving the car like every day, but like just to get it somewhere, it would drive. I'm not gonna do that either. If I have to move the car, I'm gonna put on a trailer, because I don't want to ruin the car more than it is from the other dealership. I'm throwing a lot of shade at this dealership. Should I even, like, I feel like I need to help people out there in the world. Should I leave it in the comments below if you guys think I should drop the name of this dealership that completely messed up the Supra and wronged us? Let me know. I'll drop the name. Hopefully they don't sue me. This new dealership, they fixed the car. They got it running completely good. They fixed the miles too, but the car, the problems aren't done yet. The car has 15 codes. That radar sensor I bought from the previous dealership because they want a new one, guess what? It is fried as well from the previous dealership. So I think we need a new radar. Maybe it just needs to be recalibrated. I don't know. That's a whole nother thing to get into. But then we also have a headlight malfunction still. And then the car is running insanely rough, guys. It's having they're telling me that it's having intermittent check engine light. It's going on, it's turning off. Sometimes it's flashing. The car's running really rough. The RPMs are not steady, and it is puffing tons and tons and tons of, like, they're saying blue tinted smoke out the back of the car, out of the exhaust, which they're saying it smells like fuel, but it also smells like oil. They're saying that, obviously this is speculation, but they're saying, obviously we know the history of this car. It's been tracked or drag raced hard. It's had some crazy modifications done. The dealership is thinking could have a cracked piston ring or something, which then again, you guys got to remember, this car was repossessed. Why it was repossessed, we still don't know. Maybe the engine did blow up and that's why it's puffing blue smoke, and the guy just stopped paying his payments and let them take the car. There's so much speculation, and we'll never truly know until the car's actually fixed, if it gets actually fixed. So puffing the blue smoke, we don't know what it is. I asked them, you know, maybe it's got too much oil, maybe too little oil, maybe something just not right with the oil level. But I think they said because of the, over the phone, what he said is because of the programming, the way the stuff is communicating with the car, because the car's still not 100% communicating with itself, guys. And I'll touch base on that why in a second. But it's not communicating properly with itself, and he says for that reason they are not able to check the true oil level of the car. We did fill it up to the right level, so I don't know what's happening. This isn't me saying that I'm selling the car or getting rid of it or cutting my losses. This is me telling you guys that I'm not gonna give up on this car, and I'm certainly not giving up on you guys, because we're gonna do this together. But at the same time, if what I'm thinking in my head doesn't work, I truly don't know what I'm gonna do. But basically, now what's happening is there's just a couple problems left with the car. The car has electrical issues. Basically, the computers, they don't know which ones yet. I'm about to actually head over to that dealership, so they don't know which ones yet, but there is encoding within these computer modules, various computers in the car. They're programmed, but there's coding within those modules to help them to, like, tell the computer what to do, I guess. As far as I understand, encoding is the code written within the computer to tell the computer what to do, and then the programming kind of pairs the computer to every other component in the car, so it knows how to do what it's supposed to do, I guess. The programming, good, we're looking cherry on the programming. The encoding in various computers on the car, wiped completely clean. Why that happened, Again, don't know, but I do have some speculations. Let's just say, you know, my speculation would be that that previous dealership wiped the encoding on computers. I remember telling that previous dealership to update the ECU because I wanted the ECU updated because I didn't know if it had a tune on it. Updating it would erase the tune. They updated it. They told me, hey, we updated the computer. You know, it's a success. I don't think it went as a success. I think you guys erased the encoding on that. So, yeah. So there's no encoding in the car. It runs, thank God it runs. I'm happy the motor's not completely blown and seized. It runs at least, but it's puffing tons of white smoke and the encoding is messed up. The mileage was fixed, but now the mileage reverted back to a different number. I think it's a 7 now. So literally things are working, but things are also breaking, I think. So things are working, but the programming or the encoding is not working, and the dealership says there is no way for them to put that encoding back into the system of the car. Now, I know that like there's a bunch of you who would say to take it to a different shop or a different dealership, and I love that idea, and I have looked into doing that idea. Thing is, I live in the middle of nowhere. Not technically middle of nowhere. We have some nice things here, but we don't have things like that. We don't have specialized shops that would know how to work on cars like this, and we don't have many people willing to help. I guess in my area it's a little bit aggressive, and I'm not even from here, guys. I'm from Illinois. I owe this dealership that just worked on the Supra, who got it really far, by the way. Like I respect this dealership so much for getting this car to where it is. This was the part that hurt a lot. They told me that they cannot go further with the car because they don't know how to put encoding back into the car. They're being honest with me, and I love that. They're like, they don't know how to put encoding back into the car, and I fear the only way to get encoding back is to get new computers that have encoding on them. I don't know. That's such a weird thing to even think about, but they cannot put the encoding back. He says that the entire time the Supra's been at this dealership, the guy who's been helping me on the car, the guy who's working on the car, his name is Mike. He is the main technician for Supras there. He's insanely talented in working on Supras, and he has proven his point clearly, because after what that previous dealership did to this car, it's by no doubt a challenge to work on. But the guy who's been sharing all the information with me, he's actually the main service director who also owns a Supra, guys. He owns a launch edition Supra, basically same engine, same everything, you know. It's a launch edition, and he loves his car and he loves Supras, and the guy working on the car, Mike, he loves Supras as well. So we got a bunch of Supra love working on our Supra, but they've done as much as they could do, and they don't want to. They're saying that they don't want to be unfair to me. They don't want to charge me an absurd amount of cash that you know, and the car may not be fixed, but charge me an absurd amount of cash. They just don't think it's fair to me, and so they don't even know where to start, is what they're saying. So basically we'd be paying them to brainstorm, I guess, because they don't really know what to do at this point. They don't know how to get that encoding back. So he told me that he recommends that I should pick up the car. He's thinking I should. He's telling me, the first thing he's telling me is to cut my losses, sell the car, because it does run and drive now technically, and he's saying I could sell that and it might be a selling point. It's just not something I'm completely sold on. It's not something I want to do. If I did that, it would hurt me a lot, like inside. But keeping the car is hurting my wallet. So I don't know what to do. I have to pick the car up. He says that I can't pick it up today because the car is in a couple of pieces. You know, they took off some various covers and stuff off the car to work on it. He says I can pick it up tomorrow. But he says that today I can come in, take a look at the car, get a better understanding, ask questions, you know, so that's what I'm going to do. They did help me out a lot, clearly. They got the car running, and honestly, to that, big round of applause. But now, you know, as the car sits right now, after everything that's been fixed on the car, recapping the entire story up, guys, this car runs and drives. It starts up every single time, but thick blue tinted smoke that smells like fuel and oil. It's burning oil. It might be burning water though, because it was flooded, but they told me they let the car run for 5 minutes a handful of times, and then they let it run for 35 to 40 minutes, and it's the smoke isn't dissipating. The engine noise is getting better there, because he says it's running rough and there was a little bit of engine noise. I forgot to mention, guys, I'm sorry, there's so much stuff on this car, it's hard to keep track. they started the car. When it started, you know, the blue smoke and everything, there's also a little bit of engine noise. The engine noise was not rod knock or anything, thank God. It was, he says it was upper end valve train, which started to get better progressively. But the smoke is not getting better. And we don't know why. And to look into that would be a lot of money. But what I'm thinking, guys, is this is my idea, and I would love your guys' feedback on this. Let me know what you guys think I should do. I made this video purely to just tell you guys I don't know what to do, and to inform you guys on the Supra, because a lot of you guys have been waiting for it. I just don't know what to do at this point. Basically, what they recommend and what I do, you know, other than selling the car as it is, they recommend, and this is what I was thinking too, is try to find a shop that can put the encoding back into the computers. If we can get that encoding fixed, guys, and the computer's working, it's basically electrical issues, so if you can get all that stuff working, then the car will run phenomenally, and that's good. Then there is another set of issues on the car. So first is electrical, which is the car's odometer not reading correct mileage anymore, and certain computers not working correctly, the car running rough and things like that. And then there is the load of mechanical issues, which I think the mechanical issues is just if there's still engine noise, then that would be it, and then the smoke that's coming out of the exhaust. So basically, I don't know what the clear issues are. I just know that there is some encoding issues, such as headlight not working correctly, radar sensor not working. The thing we don't know is the car running rough because there is encoding issues that are causing it not to run correctly, or is it running rough because there's encoding issues for something, but then there's also the engine itself has some issue with it. So many unknowns, and I would have never bought this car had I have known how bad it was going to be, and I certainly wouldn't have paid this much for it. It just looked like a good car at the time. It looked insanely well. I guess you live and you learn, but it's all money that we're putting into the car that I don't know if it's going to do anything, because there's a lot of unknowns with the car now. And then there's still the encoding issues. Basically, I owe this dealership about $5,000. I'll be in the car $49,000 at that point, guys. I don't know what to do. That's literally as simple as that. There is no true intention of me making this video. I don't know what to do, honestly. That's literally my intention of making this video, is I don't know what to do, which is why this video exists. It's because I'm just talking about the situation as much as I can talk about it, because I don't remember. I'm trying to remember as much of it as I can. But this is a situation that's been going on since the first time this car was dropped off at a dealership was in April. So this has been going on since April, guys. April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 6 months. I don't know what to do. I was really hoping to have a different type of Supra video out, guys. I already filmed and edited such a crazy intro for the Supra, thinking that it was going to be done. And I got it ready, and I was really expecting to get the Supra done so we could pick up the next build, which was probably going to be the Mach 1, something for the Mach 1 to get the Mach 1 going, because that Mach 1 is going to be a good one, guys, and it does, that car, it's good on electrical issues, we know that for sure. Purely a really bad accident on the Mach 1, it'll be a good car to fix, and it said in the listing description that the car starts. So we're good. I just don't know what to do. I'm thinking, as far as I know right now, the only thing that I'm thinking is I'm just gonna get the car, pick it up, just stare at it, think of something, if I can think of anything, see if I could just get some of these problems resolved, and see if we could figure out what's going on with the encoding on the car. But I don't know what to do. I don't want to let you guys down. I don't want to sell the car, because I feel like that'd be letting you guys down, and I don't want to let you guys down. I don't want to let myself down either, because I also want to see that car run. But who knows, have we got the dealership? I'm gonna say what the dealership said to me. He says that we think we reached the end of the line. They think they reached the end of the line on fixing the Supra. That's why I have to pick it up, because they can't do much more on it. They don't want to be unfair to me, and they've been so fair, like too fair. I really love what those guys did. That's how a dealership should operate. I don't know what to do. I've said that so many times, but I truly don't know what to do, except to say I don't know what to do, because for the past year that we've had this car, I've I've just been tackling each problem one at a time, and then when something big came up, I told myself, we'll just get through it, we'll figure it out. I just want to see the car done. I just, like, I don't know. There's so many different emotions happening in my brain right now. It doesn't make any sense. And neither does this car with all the different things. But yeah, long story short, car's basically done. We could call it done, but it's not done yet. It's basically done, has 15 codes, which isn't a lot. You'd get more codes from crashing a car lightly. So it's not really a lot of codes. 15 codes. Problem is, I think those codes are difficult to solve. And seems like some sort of an engine misfire issue going on with the car there. That could be resolved, but then the odometer is not correct. I'll be in the comments, I'll read them all. I'm gonna post this video like ASAP. I'm off to the dealership right now to check out the car. What I see out there is probably gonna be no different than what I'm telling you guys here. And if there's anything new I learned, I'll slip that in the video as well. Yeah guys, that's it. I know this video is different, very different from what we usually film, but you guys deserve to know what's going on, and I just want to share it with you. And I'm not saying that we're giving up, I'm just saying let's get the car, but you know, we'll go from there. We don't know what to do, but we're not giving up. We haven't given up. So just let me know what you guys are thinking, what's going on in your guys' crazy little minds. You guys know what's happening in my crazy little mind now. And yeah, have this car for so long, guys. It's hoodie season again, which is probably my favorite season. I was really hoping that this car would be done months ago. You guys have to remember that all these issues who knows, the issues that are happening in this engine, guys, it could purely be just a programming issue, and all these problems sprouted from us wanting keys but going to the wrong dealership. That really sucks to think about. This car could have been done a long time ago, because all I wanted was pre-programmed keys for the car, which that previous dealership couldn't get. But when I ordered the new BCM and new stuff for this car from the new dealership that the car is at, they were able to get everything pre-programmed just the way I wanted, but with everything else being out of whack on the car, it wasn't as easy as plug and play and just pairing it to the car. It was more so putting that in the car, pairing it, and dealing with a whole bunch of other electrical and communication issues because of what the previous dealership did. Was really hoping the car would be done months ago. I was really hoping it'd be done last month because it seemed really good last month. It's October now. It's my 19th birthday on the 25th of October in 8 days. Fun fact, that's also Katy Perry's birthday. I learned that from a school project that I ended up doing for famous birthdays. Wonderful singer, by the way. So I was really hoping that the car would be done before my birthday. I'd feel that that would be a cool little gift, but it doesn't seem like that's gonna happen, but that's okay. We're still gonna do it. We're gonna stay positive through it all. We got tons of other things to look forward to. You know, the Supra might not be working great, but we have a bunch of other builds that are working great, so it's okay. It'll be okay. Just let me know what you guys are thinking. Leave it down in the comments below, or if you want, shoot me a DM on Instagram, and you know, I'll be checking all these various social media platforms out. All right, we made it. On the whole drive here, I was just thinking, like, you know, if I don't fix it, who's gonna? That makes me sad. The technician will come out in a second to talk to me, but I'm excited to see the car start up, but I'm nervous to, like, you know, it probably runs like doo-doo, so that's scary. I see the front. I see it. You can't forget, though, how amazing this car is. Every time I see this car, I'm like, cannot let this car go. Look at that. And they parked it right here because they know I like that security on this car. They know the world we live in here. Oh my gosh, but this thing starts, that's crazy. Sorry about the window. Yeah, it smells pretty bad. I smell it. It gets this start.
It gets pretty thick.
Yeah.
So, but you can hear it's not running right.
I can see it. It's like all shaking and everything too.
Exactly.
So you guys heard what this car is doing, sounding like. I popped open the engine while I was running. The engine's like, you can see it moving on the mounts. It's running really rough. It makes total sense, guys. With me being here, the car, you guys saw the smoke coming out of there. That smoke is thick. It's not going away. the technician was telling me if it was too high or too low on oil, whatever the case may be, if it was burning oil like that because there's too much of it, it would eventually burn off all the oil to the correct level and then the smoke would dissipate. The car's been on for total runtime, probably an hour, and that smoke does not dissipate. It smells strongly of oil as well, which means that what he thinks, the technician, he's a very talented guy. He thinks that the piston rings on the car are kaputski and oil is making it past the piston rings into the combustion chamber. It's burning oil. That's why it's running rough. And then there's the whole issue with the encoding, which we don't know what the encoding is even messing up in the car. We just know there's mechanical damage and electrical damage. As far as fixing the engine, I mean, we could take apart the engine and rebuild it and get it looking good and it'll run great. But then what do we do about the encoding, you know? Like, we'll put all that money into fixing the engine, but what do we do about the encoding? And all of this kind of makes sense to why it got repossessed, I guess. Clearly, if it makes sense in my head. He blew the motor, decided that he's not going to pay the payments anymore, and the car got taken. He was also assumed, the technician was thinking it could be turbo, oil from the turbo getting into the engine. But with how the engine is running, it kind of like ruled all that out for him, and he knows that the turbo is running good. It's piston rings are fried, I guess, which is not a big deal. In my head, piston rings being fried, it's a big job, but it's doable. But the encoding, they don't even know where to start with that because they don't have access to the coding in the car. The technician did tell me though, he has a gut feeling that the reason this car got so messed up with the encoding is because of the previous dealership. So it's not only me. But it is a really beautiful car, and I genuinely have no idea what to do. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I was not expecting this car to be like this. But if we fix the engine, we still have the encoding issues to deal with. Basically, the encoding is given to the car at the factory. Previous dealership lost the encoding. How you get that back, we have no idea. I feel like if we were to not fix this car, I feel like it's actually not our fault because the encoding is lost. You can't get back the encoding. In reality, we fixed the car too as much as it could be fixed. And then, you know, besides the motor, but the motor's not worth fixing if the encoding is gone. Now that we know, actually, the service director, he was telling me, if we're gonna fix the car, we should fix the encoding first, because without the encoding, then fixing anything else on the car is pretty much worthless because nothing else will really work. You should get the encoding fixed first because that's the hard one, and then everything else is relatively, I guess, doable. The encoding is just, where do you even start? They don't know. I don't know. For me, that was the first start, and I was so excited to hear it that I didn't realize, like, it sounded bad, but I didn't realize exactly how bad it sounded until I played the clip. That sounded bad. All right, guys, here it is. Now, I am very happy that it starts, and I'm excited to drive it. It's just that it's not good for the car, obviously. But the thing is, we don't know if it's running bad because of engine damage or because of the encodings purely, because the car is literally there's 42 computer modules within this car according to them, and all 42 are completely out of sync because of what the previous dealership did to it. I didn't even sleep that much last night, so yeah, I slept like 4 hours. I went to bed at 5. I was so sad, but yeah, I'm still sad. Okay, so I think we might know what's going on with the engine a little bit then. That's my first time hearing that clip because I was driving the car. I didn't hear the exhaust from the back. I was just editing the video when I heard that. I think we know what's going on. I think it's pretty obvious. If you guys don't know what that noise was, first of all, don't be scared because that's not rod knock, but it does sound a lot like rod knock. What's happening there is, so we have pretty much all the signs of bad piston rings on the Supra, and pretty much some symptoms of bad piston rings would be very thick blue tinted smoke, which you guys have seen, so we're good. We have that smoke. It's not a good thing, but it's, you know, it's good, pointing us in the right direction of what the problem is. So we have that smoke right there. But then that knocking sound you guys hear, that is known as piston slap. So the way piston slap works is, think of my hands right here in the middle. This middle section right here, that's where the cylinder is. And these two things, my hands right here, these are the cylinder walls. The piston is coming up and it's going up and down the cylinder wall, but part of the ring around the piston is worn out. So on one side, the piston may be up against the cylinder wall like it's supposed to, but on the other end, there's a gap. So what's happening is the piston is coming up and it's moving like this because it's not going up straight because it's not centered properly, because part of the ring is damaged and missing. So it's not pressed up against the cylinder wall. There's a little bit of a gap. So it's slapping and it's creating that loud slapping sound that you guys heard in that video, which is known as piston slap. It sounds a lot like rod knock, but it's not rod knock, it's piston slap. You fix your piston rings, that'll fix your issue. The problem with this car is we don't know how much of this car's issue with the way the car's running. We don't know if it's purely because of piston rings or if it's because there's piston ring issue and because maybe there's encoding missing in some of the computers around the car. All right, guys, so got the Supra right here in the garage. I drove it right into here. But here's what I don't understand. If this car has these encoding issues, let me put it this way. When I scan this car with the Autel, which isn't as great of a scanner as what the Toyota dealership has, but it works, it does the trick so far. So when I scan this car with the Autel, I got a code in the engine department and it says ECU encoding invalid. So there is an encoding issue. However, this is what I'm thinking. On a car that had, you know, methanol and big turbo and pushed crazy amount of power and had skinny tires up in the front, clearly was used hardcore. Obviously, it had a tune. What I'm thinking is maybe the ECU encoding invalid that I've seen the code for, maybe that's because the ECU is tuned. That could be why. The other thing I don't get is this encoding issue that Toyota was telling me about at the new dealership here that we just picked the car up from. They were telling me this encoding issue causes, this car has 42 computer modules. My goodness. Those 42 computer modules, he was saying it with an encoding issue, those computers will not talk to each other. It'll be completely out of sync. Like the engine won't be talking to the transmission and vice versa. A lot of the wheel, I think, like the suspension won't be talking to this component. Like a bunch of stuff won't be talking to a lot of stuff. And what I don't get is, if that is the case and if that encoding issue is real, why is it that this thing runs and drives like good? Like it's not driving, like if you hit the gas, it's like barely moving. Like it's working. Like if you hit the, they should slow down. If you hit the gas on this car, it'll go. So I'm thinking that, hear me out. Here's what I'm thinking. After talking about this with you guys for I think 40 minutes now and seeing the car, driving the car into the garage here, here's what I'm thinking. The piston rings for this car, they're like 80 bucks. It's not expensive. It may be a time-consuming job, but it's not the hardest job in the world. Here's what I'm thinking. Maybe we get those piston rings, we rebuild this engine correctly, and then we put it in the car, and the only light on the dash is check engine. So if we start up the car, it might run really good, and the check engine light might turn off. And then as far as codes go, guys, there's nothing else on the dash. There's no codes on the screen besides service engine oil, which I have. I just haven't reset the light, which I haven't done yet because I couldn't reset it because I didn't have the proper keys, which I do now, so I could reset it now. But I'm thinking this car might run good if we replace those piston rings. The check engine light will cut off, and and then I feel like the car will run as it's supposed to. It'll just have like a code that says invalid ECU encoding. I still don't know why it's there or what that means, because there's no way that it means that the computers are out of sync, because the car works. I know the mileage isn't reflecting correctly. Maybe the car just needs to be tuned or driven and it might get better. I don't know. Maybe I still don't know what to do. I haven't decided completely yet on what to do, but that's just a little theory I came up with. Maybe it makes sense. Maybe I'm not making sense, but maybe I order piston rings and try to rebuild the motor and go from there. I don't know. We'll see. Just a thought, just a hunch, but I'm very curious and excited to see what you guys think about it. When the previous dealership worked on this car, they did a lot of different things to the car. They just programmed a whole lot of baloney. They programmed a bunch of stuff without actually knowing what they're doing. They were very inexperienced. So they made a bunch of stuff go out of sync. As far as I know that the ECU has a code for encoding invalid, but there could be a bunch more codes that I can't see. The previous dealership could have messed up a bunch of other encodings and a bunch of other computers because they messed with a bunch of other things. They made us buy that, remember that radar sensor they made us buy for a couple $1,000? According to the dealership that I just picked the car up from, they're saying that radar sensor isn't even working anymore. So that's money down the drain as well, I guess. But maybe that's an encoding issue for another computer module that doesn't have encoding correctly done. The thing is, we don't know which computer modules are affected by the encoding. So far, I just see one, and maybe that's because this car had a locked ECU and it got unlocked by a different company, and maybe that's why that code exists saying encoding invalid. But what doesn't make sense is why the dealership we just picked the car up from is telling me that there is a lot of encoding damage, and I'm trying to see the encoding damage, but from my perspective, what I'm seeing is engine damage and ECU encoding, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means that there is encoding damage in the ECU, because the previous dealership that did work on this car that scammed us, they did update our ECU. Maybe they damaged it. Maybe they made a bunch of stuff go out of sync on the car and I just can't see it on my scanner, but Toyota could see it on theirs. In my head, I just feel like if there was actual encoding damage, it makes a little bit of sense, but it's not making a whole lot of sense to me. It seems like the encoding damage is present, but it's not affecting, from what I've seen, it's not affecting the car from running and driving. The running and driving part's affected by the motor, I'm thinking, because there is no lights on the dash other than the check engine light. The only thing I see wrong with the car is the mileage has been wiped, which the previous dealership did, and they couldn't fix it. So it's probably fraud, I'd say, because they turned back the mileage and they wouldn't fix it, and they wouldn't own up to it either, which was crazy. But yeah, there's still like tons of little things here and there on the car. We have the engine to deal with. We have the mileage not being fixed, and then there's encoding issues all over the car that so far we have no idea what's actually wrong. We just know that the previous Toyota dealership has something to do with it, because as far as what I can see, the ECU encoding is damaged, and that could be because maybe the ECU has been unlocked and that's why it's being like that, or maybe because the previous dealership messed with something. The dealership we just picked the car up from is saying is that there is more computers that have encoding damage. It's not just the ECU. I can't see it, but they probably could see it on their computer. But they did say, Mike, the guy that was working on our Supra, he did tell me, his professional opinion, he can't say anything bad about the other dealership, but he said, like, his gut feeling, personally, him to me, he said, yeah, that dealership messed up the Supra and it's encoding. They pretty much didn't know what they were doing. They went into different computers to do different things and they lost encoding. And yeah, that's pretty much why the car isn't really working all that great. I just feel like if I was to fix the motor, the mileage, the encoding, they definitely messed with some encoding because the mileage is not fixed. So there's definitely some stuff that previous dealership has messed with and destroyed. I just don't know which modules, and neither do they. The only thing I can see is ECU, but I don't know if, we don't know what other modules have been messed with. As far as the encoding damage, and I'm saying that maybe it's because the ECU got unlocked and that's why that code is there. As far as that's just speculation. I don't know for sure, but there is some encoding damage because the mileage does not reflect what it used to reflect before I dropped it off to them. When I dropped the car off to them, it read 9,165. As you guys know from the previous videos on this car, when I picked it up, it read 3 miles. Then we dropped it off at the other dealership. They were able to fix it, but it wouldn't hold it at 19165. After they fixed it, they let the car sit for a bit, and it kind of just forgot everything again. Like, it's like it can't remember things. But on this type of car, with the way the encodings go, I don't know how to get them at all. I am emailing GR and Toyota. Maybe they can help, but probably not, because I'm sure the dealership probably also tried that, but I'm gonna give it a shot and see what happens. But when it comes to encodings in a car, it's literally like, it's something not even tangible. Like, you can't even hold it physically in your hand. It's like encryption keys, I guess. It's like, it's all just code. It's purely code. and it goes into the car and it's just there. Not even if I gave somebody $1 million could I get that code back. Like, that code was given to the car at the factory, and as far as getting it back, the dealership doesn't know and I have no idea. I've been doing research, but I'm still stuck. Like, how do you get encodings back? That's why they're telling me to just get rid of the car, but I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. The dealership that managed to get the car running, Mike out there, he was telling me that basically they were telling me if I had not taken this car to the other dealership and they had not touched it, then this car would be perfect and the encodings would still be here. They're pretty much saying that, like, yeah, that dealership pretty much ruined this car, because had I not taken it to them, this car would still be original and it would literally just need the keys. But now that I've taken it to them and they claimed to know what they were doing at that previous dealership but didn't actually know what they were doing, they managed to completely like wipe parts of the car, and nobody knows at the moment what stuff is actually missing encoding. As far as I know, I got a code for the ECU missing some encoding. And guys, I'm really sorry. Like, I know this whole story is super confusing. Supra confusing. I'm sorry I had to. But it's like, that's truly, like, that is how the story is. Like, I'm trying my best to make it be not so confusing. But then again, there's so many gray areas and unknowns in this story, because we do not know we just know that previous dealership messed this car up, but we don't know to what extent. Yeah, like, that's literally it. I'm really sorry. And if you guys did stick around till the end of this video, because I know this video is so long and I apologize for that. I just tried to make sure I could explain this as best as I could, so the video just ended up getting long. But if you stuck around to the end, thank you guys so much. And I really do appreciate it so much. Yeah, if you guys watched the video up to this far, then thank you so much for watching. You know, maybe put the code word encoding in the comments so I know that you guys saw this part of the video. Today is the 19th. This video is dropping on the 20th. So now the clips you guys are going to see after this is just the outro clips that I filmed over on October 17th. So yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble on and on about this. Pretty much what the title reads on the video is how I feel. I just don't know what to do. So that's it. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one, which hopefully will be very soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll help out my I guess it'll give me moral support, if that is the right word to say it. It'll just make me feel a lot better. But yeah, if you can, like and subscribe. Love you guys forever. See you in the next one. Bye.